God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Owaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Owaze, let's spice it up. Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Owaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Owaze, let's spice it up. Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Owaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Owaze, let's spice it up.
The number of conversations we're able to have in between.
In between while we're off air.
Hi.
Hey guys, what it do?
I mean, by now I hope you guys are comfortable and used to hearing us on a Wednesday afternoon.
I think it is. I think it's people were probably expecting us last Wednesday.
True.
And we weren't here.
Surprise.
So we're here this week. Hopefully that's okay.
You know, we're always welcome, so I don't know what you mean by that. But in case you're like, who in the hell and why in the hell, it's your girls Howie and TG. We're back at it again, and all of a sudden I don't exist.
No, you're here.
I'm
I
back.
hear you.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. We're back, guys,
Yes.
on a Wednesday afternoon. And we're going to be here, guess what, for 2 hours until 5 p.m.
Yeah, it's at Awazi Things. We do actually have a guest today as well.
A really special guest, which we are really excited and looking forward to having. We feel like we sort of manifested this guest, so we're super excited that she's going to be coming, y'all.
That's definitely a win for the whole manifestation thing.
Yes.
Because we've been obsessed with her for the past couple of months. And
If she's tuning in right now,
hi. We're excited to meet you.
we're very excited. We're looking forward. We're not going to tell you guys who she is until she comes. So suspense at an all-time high.
We'll just say very, very big name in the Ethiopian fashion industry. Not just in the Ethiopian fashion industry, but internationally as well. And also a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, somebody we definitely look up to. So, yeah, we're excited to have her here, talk about business, talk about fashion, talk about being a woman within these two industries as well. So, exciting things.
Very excited, guys. So like we said, we're going to be here until 5. We're going to get to a musical break because she's about to come now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go get her.
Yeah, so stay tuned. Again, if you guys want to hit us up, you can find us on all social media at Awaze Media, AWAZE, MEDIA. So we're going to get to a musical break, and then when we come back, more here with our special guest, and we're going to be talking about creativity in fashion.
Fashion and business, yeah.
Yes, all of that. So don't move a muscle. We'll be back with more. Let's get it.
Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Owaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Owaze, let's spice it up. Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Owaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Owaze, let's spice it up. Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Owaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Owaze, let's spice it up.
All right, welcome back to the Awaze Show here on ABC 104.7, guys.
Hi.
It's not just me and TG, but it's also our special guest, Anna Getaneh, as well as Yared.
We were bonding over mechanical engineering outside.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I have no idea about mechanical engineering.
How he's a journalist through and through.
Yes. I was a med student, and then I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to study journalism, and I left. So yes, guys, welcome back. We're talking about creativity and fashion in today's show. And we are talking about just how that looks like within the Ethiopian context and how we perceive it, how it's viewed overall, the perception of just how the evolution of Ethiopian fashion has progressed. And so we wanted to ask you, Anna, what your perception of Ethiopian fashion is.
For me, it's a very exciting time to be working in the fashion industry in Ethiopia, because having had the exposure of, or having worked in the fashion industry quite extensively before my move back, I mean, I saw that we had all the raw material, all the huge potential to really develop a very strong and thriving fashion industry. So when I think about the fashion industry and I see that we have our own cotton, we have our own leather, we have our own traditional craftsmanship, we have our history, we have our stories, and then of course with the youth you have innovation, creativity, this desire to develop and create. When you put all that together, it's all the main ingredients to really create a very strong fashion industry. So that's what excites me, and that's what really brought me back home. And I knew I needed to be on the ground to be able to be part and parcel of the development of the Ethiopian fashion industry, but also to be able to stay true to what I have always wanted to develop as a fashion, because obviously my background is more in communication. Of course, I worked as a model, in the early years, and then, I was running obviously the nonprofit work, the Ethiopian Children's Fund that I also started while I was still living in New York, and then took a little break to
that helped you to create African Mosaic too, right?
Absolutely. And then when I was thinking about what I really want to do for the rest of my life, pretty much I thought, there's this opportunity to really create a new narrative around African fashion. It doesn't have to be charity, or it doesn't have to be any inferior in any way. It just has to be marketed, positioned, presented in the right way, and there's no reason why we cannot succeed like other international brands. But having worked all these years in the fashion industry and having not seen any African brands really successfully working internationally, it really sort of brought me back home. And I thought, okay, what are the challenges that we have on the ground?
Yes.
And then you start understanding, okay, they don't have access to raw material. It is there, but it's not as accessible. Are the design schools really up to the level that they should be? Perhaps we need to upgrade those. Is the industry itself well, regarded? Because sometimes when you're thinking, I want to be a fashion designer, it's like it's not a serious business, And when you're seeing it's a 2.5 trillion dollar industry, it is a serious business.
Oh yeah,
it is a serious business. And you look at international brands like Burberry and Calvin Klein, etc., and it's they're over $1 billion industry. So it is serious business. So there's a lot of mindset that has to be, the mindset has to change. There's a lot of work that has to be done at every level, not only government, not only private sector, not only academic. There has to be like this collective effort to really kind of highlight and focus the importance of fashion. And it's not just trivia. It's not just basic, it's not just a hobby on the side. It's not just things for people who don't want to go to college. No, there are university degrees now in Ethiopia also that are given in fashion design. Thank goodness, which is wonderful. We have Bahada University, you have several universities now that are. So we have to build capacity, and so all of that is what excites me. Yes, the journey is long, and we're very much at the early stages of all this, but the potential is there. We have great cotton in our country. We have great leather, we have great, all the things that I mentioned. It's about connecting those dots and just bringing everything together and saying, okay, now how can we develop my journey as well? Obviously, focusing on African fashion designers has really been sort of a focus from day one, because I've always felt like, the fashion industry, if you don't have fashion designers, you don't have a fashion industry. I mean, you have a textile industry, you might have, but a fashion industry is driven by fashion designers. And to be able to have fashion designers who can compete internationally, you need to build capacity. You need to, provide them the kind of support that designers in France and Italy and elsewhere have. And it's not because French designers are particularly better in any other way, but there's huge support that surrounds them.
Yes.
And that's why when you think of fashion, you think Paris. When you think of maybe leather goods, you think of Italy and all of that. And so people don't associate fashion and Africa, on the same sentence, And that's why for me it was very important to call it African Mosaic. I really wanted to make sure that, it was loud and clear. It's like, this is African Mosaic, and we're about promoting African fashion and showing that the creativity is there, the talent is there. It's just about building the capacity and giving the opportunities to designers to really be able to develop and grow. So, yeah, we do a lot of things at Africa Mosaic, a lot of things. Obviously, it is a fashion label. So I get to wear my creative hat and I get to design, which I love doing. So there's a collection that we develop at Africa Mosaic with my team, sort of high-end, ready-to-wear collection. Fabric sourced primarily from Africa, obviously from Ethiopia as well. And then obviously in addition to that, we do a lot of training and we share a platform. And so it's not to say that it's it's not a nonprofit, it's a business, but we also have to share what we have, because we can't just grow on our own as Africa Mosaic. The industry has to grow with us. So we've started the incubator program, the African Mosaic Fashion Incubator Program, which we launched 5 years ago now.
Wow.
Which where we provide training. It's a free incubator program where we select 10 designers we do an open call, an nationwide open call, and we select 10 promising designers and put them through a 12-month program. So that's one of the things that we're doing, and we've seen, how this program has impacted designers who have gone through our program. It's a part-time program, flexible, and we start every September. And then we have a lot of events, because obviously it's really important as designers to be able to have platforms to showcase, to sell. Not everybody can have a boutique and this and that. So, and it's also important to come together. So we do a lot of pop-ups, we do a lot of collaborative work. So that's why we built the Legat Afo Design Center. It's quite an ambitious project. It's sort of phase 2 now. But we are able to organize big enough events to show that we're really serious about fashion and there's creativity. We come together periodically, we showcase, and we network, we collaborate. And so those are the things that really excite me, and just being able to do all of that today in Ethiopia is a dream come true. 20 years ago, living in Paris, between Paris and New York, if you thought, well, would you return one day to Ethiopia and have a fashion company? I would have most probably said, well, I'm not sure. You know? I did start the school, at around that time. So I was coming back and forth to do nonprofit work, but to really be able to have a company and a factory and a boutique and to have my own team and to source locally and manufacture, I just never thought that day would come, And then obviously when I started, looking into it more closely, I thought, well, why not? It has to start somewhere. And obviously there's a lot that has to be done. But understanding that we have the raw material, and most of these countries that have been, that are big fashion centers, they don't even produce themselves locally. They outsource. And when you see that you can actually manufacture locally, you can source locally, you can design locally, you have the creativity, and you have so many young people who are so excited about going into the business. You have everything that you'd need to create, this fashion, power, fashion center, if you will, at least for the region, for Africa, and that's really where I see, not only Africa Mosaic, but our country going towards being sort of a fashion hub, a fashion center, because not just geographically, we have our airlines as well, but we have so much resources, and the world doesn't know about it yet.
At all.
It's unheard,
Yes.
So I get carried away. So
no.
Question 2 and 3.
It's
all in one.
It's all within our questions. But
Okay.
those were some of the things that we wanted to touch up on. Yes, we have a really long way to go, but from where you started to now, just the progress of fashion, even if it's not a crazy amount of difference, how much better has the industry gotten? I feel like 10 years ago it might have been unthinkable to start a business here. Another question was to sort of see African print more or less has become more internationally known.
Yes.
Whereas Ethiopia has its own prints too, but it's not as well known as the rest of the world. So is that something that you have noticed while working in the industry as well?
No, absolutely. I have obviously been coming back and forth, but I've also been traveling quite extensively in Africa. We did live there as a young child before we moved to Europe. I was always very much aware of the beauty and the diversity of African fabrics. My mother is also a fashion designer. And she made all her beautiful clothing whenever she went out and entertained. So, I grew up with that, and I've always really appreciated. So when I got into the industry and realized it was not seen the way that that I was hoping, and mainly that was because, the media didn't portray it as that. You never had a front cover with a beautiful model wearing, African print,
True.
It would maybe be on the last page, on the charity page or on the, so that frustration is really what led me to organize the first Pan-African fashion show in Paris at the end of Paris Fashion Week in 1997. And what we did at that time was we brought together about 20 designers from across Africa, some living, between London, Milano, etc. And then we just said, let's just come together and just, show the world that there is fashion in Africa and that it's thriving, and we're not all running around, straw skirts this. And there's diversity. It's like all of African fashion is not the same. We wear different clothes, even within Ethiopia, within one country. And it's so rich and it's so diverse. And so, we were lucky, and that was a huge eye-opener for myself. It was a big project. It was obviously to raise funds for the school that we were planning to build in Ethiopia. But for me, it was the first time I really came together with these designers, and I thought, okay, now this is something I would love to do for the rest of my life. And so, and I've seen our African print, and at the beginning it was a little bit kind of frustrating because there was never homage given to, like, for example, if an African print was used, it was never really sort of the particular tribe or the particular country or the particular culture that developed the various motifs or designs was never given homage. So it to be just called African print or African inspired or ethnic or tribal or etc. And that really bothered me a lot because obviously not everybody has the opportunity to travel in Africa or maybe is as interested, but each fabric had a story, each fabric had a history, each fabric, and that was like the discussions we would have, with other fellow African designers backstage. Is like, how do we continue promoting? But it has to come from us. If we're not telling the stories, they might be interested in what they see. They don't know where it came from. There's no information. There's no books. There's no documentation, or not enough. So if they find something that's beautiful, like you would go to a market and buy fabric, if there's no information around it, you would just call it African fabric, So those kind of things was kind of what, made me feel like, okay, there's a lot of work we need to do on our end. It's not just about changing the mindset abroad and saying, okay, see us equally as other Western international designers, but we also need to, step up our make sure that we are ready and that we protect our motifs. We tell our stories in the way they should be told, and that so African print is there now, and everybody knows it's African print, but it's just about where are they coming from and how do we protect, and are the right people benefiting? Because you can get African print made in China, you can get interpreted African prints. We've seen here in Ethiopia at some point, which I hope doesn't exist anymore, Ethiopian print that was printed in China and imported. We've seen that at some point. And it's because these motifs are not registered, and there's no ownership, and so anybody can take a cross or an Lalibela motif and go print it and do whatever they want with it. You cannot go and have a company called Champagne, because there will be a lawsuit. There is Champagne is registered and it's in France, and we all know what it is. So these are the kind of work that we need to do. But when it comes to Ethiopian traditional clothing, in a way it's good because that it's not as known, because we're almost kind of like the last frontier, if you will, meaning, the fashion industry has gone down several times, the whole retro look and the future look and the avant-garde and the ethnic look and what have you. But, people are so fascinated about, this tradition of craftsmanship, this weaving, these hours of weaving. Everything is manufactured in factories and automated now. And when you hear that there are thousands and thousands of weavers that are weaving daily and thousands and millions of people actually wearing those clothing, I don't know if there's another culture in the world that actually is still doing this, and this is a tradition we need to sustain, because not only is it providing creating jobs and sustaining our tradition, but it's really important that our children, future generations, will still continue to be able to appreciate the traditional Ethiopian clothing as we are. So, and I'm sure the universities now are doing a lot of work to make sure that we preserve these traditions, etc. But as fashion designers and the designers that we work with closely, we're always saying, let's look from within. We get a lot of inspiration coming from Paris, etc. And in the past, it was all really kind of controlled by a small clique of elite, if you will, who would say, okay, the next fashion is the capri shorts, or the next fashion is black, or the next fashion is orange, and all of that, and then it gets driven by fashion magazines and editors and journalists and so, but now obviously with the internet and with everything opening up, we have an equal say. And if we can build enough traffic and promote what we're doing, then we have the same audience. We just have to make sure that when it comes, we have to be ready, because we know people will come for this traditional craftsmanship because it's unique, etc. So it's an exciting time. I think Ethiopian fashion, obviously we have a huge diaspora, as we know, and so they are our ambassadors on the ground. I know that a lot of Ethiopians, abroad wear locally made clothes, which is great. But we need to kind of break into the international market. And that's where we have to really, support our young designers, because they're the ones who are going to take it to the next level. Absolutely. They're going to bring the innovation. They're going to bring the creativity, the new ideas, but still staying quite true to their identity. And so this is what we try to, share with our designers. Don't try to duplicate what they're doing in the West, because, it's made in different countries. Look within, because right here in our own backyard, we have so much inspiration. We have a lot of raw material, and start from here. And, it might take a season or two until people pick up on that. They might not say, okay, this is completely mainstream and I'm going to be wearing this. But, it takes a collective effort, and it takes, commitment. We have to take risks, but I think the future is very bright for Ethiopian designers. You have a lot of award-winning designers, as we know. We're so proud of them. We have designers that are collaborating and bringing new ideas, and it helps the markets. It helps Shiromeda, it helps Mercato, it helps them, it inspires them, new ideas coming in, and they take it to a whole different level. It goes into the different regions. And so there's a lot of work that has been done, and obviously now on the ground I can see it every day, but and I hope it continues, growing at this rate.
We hope so too.
Absolutely. And I think that even kind of like answers the question that we were going to ask pertaining to what mark, if there is any. We know that it's still at its infant stage, that Ethiopian fashion has on the international market. Like you said, a lot of, people who live abroad are sporting the clothes and they're wearing it, proudly. But do you feel as if there has been any mark, or do you feel as if right now, even in higher fashion, it hasn't really been recognized yet within?
You mean the impact that
it's had?
There are, every now and then you hear or you would see, a motif or something. You'd think, oh, kind of that designer must have been influenced or inspired by maybe, Ethiopia, etc. But it's not that obvious in the sense, because, it's not easy to be working with weavers every day. It's not easy to be sort of, most of these big brands are used to manufacturing and big manufacturing thing, and their whole most of the business behind it is the marketing and the social media, if you will, you know, but artisanal work, handcrafted work is the biggest luxury.
Yes.
You know, when you think about, you know, for every woven scarf, for every woven dress, for every, you know, for every embroidery work, you know, there's a soul behind that, you know,
Absolutely.
And when you get to spend time with the ladies and the weavers and you understand, you know, you give value to that clothes, you know. And that's what most designers are not able to have, and we have that right here. And these craftspeople, you know, we really need to bring them into sort of more of the formal education system in the sense, because they are as important as the designers themselves. Because that hand, I mean, when you think of Prada, when you think of Hermes and some of these big brands who really kind of, you know, pride themselves on artisanal work and handcrafted, etc., you know, I mean, I don't know how much percent of that is really sort of really handcrafted, but when you think of 100% handcrafted, you know, you find that in Ethiopia and in many countries in Africa.
True.
And yet the value, you know, is, you know, people want to bargain. It's only should be available in the markets, and, you know, and that's why we really need to build documentation, sensitize, you know, the international community on the value of this, and at some point the focus will start being on, and that's why I say we're really the next sort of frontier in fashion, because people are looking for non-mass, you know, people are looking for artisanal, you know, smaller collections, you know, great stories behind them, you know, women working in different parts of the world and doing great creativity, you know, that's what excites people now. And thanks to the internet, we can get that information, you know.
Yes.
You don't have to wait for Vogue magazine to come out in the end of the month and for them to select the 5 best designers, and then that becomes the next thing, you know. You can do enough research, and there have been so many success stories of designers, you know, coming from the continent and from developing countries, mainly from social media. So yeah,
It's cool that we have a platform. Let's go for one track.
Let's go for a musical break, and then we'll come back with more. Again, guys, if you have any comments, questions, you guys can hit us up on our Telegram at Awaze Media, as well as find us on all social media platforms at Awaze Media, AWAZE MEDIA. We'll be back in a bit. Don't move a muscle.
Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Awaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Awaze, let's spice it up. Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Awaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Awaze, let's spice it up. Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Awaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Awaze, let's spice it up.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Awaze Show here on ABC 104.7.
I'm far, far away from the mic because I have to get footage. Bye.
Yes, we're also live, guys. So if you want to check out the footage and what we're doing here in the studio, go to our Instagram, and you can find us at Awaze Media. That's AWAZE MEDIA. So we're here with Anna, and we're talking about creativity and fashion. So I want to come to asking you about African Mosaic. I know that you created the first one in 2005 in Johannesburg. And so then you came here and created another branch in 2012, I believe. What inspired you to create it? You talked a little bit about it, but is there anything more to what inspired you to create African Mosaic?
So yes, well, I mean, you know, African Mosaic first started off as a culture platform to promote African fashion. Like I was mentioning, when I was living and I was doing Paris Fashion Week and New York Fashion Week, and and traveling quite a bit, there were no designers. There were no African designers, or Africa was not represented. I felt, I need to do something, and that's how we organized the first event. And then obviously that led to me understanding a little more about the industry and what I can do, and just I followed that route up until I sort of retired from modeling. And then I thought, well, this is what I'd love to do with the rest of my life. So when I got married and moved to South Africa, one of the things that I wanted to do was use my communication skills and my background is marketing. And I thought, well, why don't I just sort of create a multi-brand boutique and promote African fashion and sort of be the spokesperson. And that's really how it started off. So I was representing different designers from the continent in South Africa. I think we were one of the first to develop a Pan-African multi-brand boutique. Designers from Nigeria, from the region, from Madagascar, from Morocco, etc. And while I was developing that, I was also developing my designing skills, and I really kind of felt like, okay, there are things that I'd love to do. Obviously, being a tall girl and loving fabrics and everything. So I started designing my own capsule collection, and then that kind of led me to seriously consider having my own line. And so I brushed up my skills and put together my first collection, and it went really well. And so yes, I've been running my own sort of African Mosaic collection under the same brand. It's our in-house label, and then obviously we do a lot of collaborations and etc. So African Mosaic started as a nonprofit when I was living in New York, and then I registered it as a commercial entity when I moved to South Africa. And then when we moved from South Africa, I closed up. We closed the company in South Africa, and then kind of made my base here in Ethiopia. So we're export oriented. We're really focusing on higher end fashion, value added. Obviously rich in craftsmanship. Telling stories, not making it heavy, but just making sure that what you're wearing is a piece of art, if you will. And so this is the kind of thing that we really want to focus on. Obviously, I love print. I grew up around print. I love bold colors. I'm not afraid to wear color or bold prints, but at the same time, you need to make sure, that people who are wearing it also understand the story behind it, and we really want to promote our culture, and we really want to say we don't have to be driven by, an industry that tells you, okay, this is the color for this season, and so every other color is not in season, In Africa, we have sun all year long. In Africa, we have things that, that we enjoy wearing, and certain cultures maybe doesn't wear black for certain reasons. Certain cultures only wear whites for whatever. So, we should be able to guide and be able to, develop collections based on things that are important for us as well, And even when you think about the seasons, for example, you have 4 seasons in the West: the summer, the winter collection, the spring, and the fall. And then you think about Africa, and we're like, we primarily have one main season, and then we have rainy season. So, even our calendar and our collections and all that was just, always focusing on what was happening in the West, and never kind of looking at, because we always felt, well, maybe there's no market in locally. We should always think of the West and taking our market to the West. So African Mosaic has been involved in so many different ways, just creating this platform so we can have this conversation with designers. We organize, events and networking opportunities for designers, and mainly a platform to show, okay, you don't have to rush to go to Paris to sell your clothes. There's a market right here, and that market maybe is not ready, but they will be at some point. Let's just really focus on, making sure our products are great, making sure that we're using the best that we can, and then we grow it locally, and then start thinking about the international market, because we have 110 million plus 110 plus million people who wake up every day. We're having to, who would have to make a decision on what to wear, and so why not wear something that's made locally? When you think about much smaller countries who have much bigger fashion industries, you're thinking about, why can't we, and we don't have enough successful designers, and we're not talking about abasha kamis for everything. Of course, we have our traditional wear, which we wear for festive occasions, but I think, even, beautiful T-shirts that are locally made, and it's really important to look at labels. There was a time when I first came here, and I was looking at products. I don't know if it was Shiromeda or Mercato, and the vendors were saying, this is not made in Ethiopia, but it is. But they would rather say it's made in Italy or in Paris, and they would change the label because they felt people would buy it if it's actually imported. So that's the mindset that exists, And so it's really important for us to be able to really promote the local industry, to get celebrities on board, to get, locals wearing locally made, locally manufactured clothing, accessories, shoes and bags and jewelry. I mean, there's just so much available locally, and yet, the industry is, it's still in its infancy, where we should be building massive empires. I mean, 100 million people market, not only locally, but when you're thinking of the region as well, we're in the several hundred million. And so I think, changing the mindset is really important. And African Mosaic is based here, so we're really positioning ourselves as, sort of, I want to say at the forefront, and just saying, okay, it's okay, this is the platform where you can test products. This is the platform where you can experiment, be innovative, don't feel like you have to copy the West. In fact, the more of your own personality that comes out, the better. And this is the kind of platform that we're really pushing with the young incubators and saying, please do not do what anybody else has done. Go out and push yourself and do something that's new, that's creative. It's risky, but we're here to support you, because this is where you're going to really push yourself, and then you start, understanding the importance of innovation and creating, and it's not just waiting for the next person to do it and then copying that person. So African Mosaic is that. We have a boutique, we have a flagship boutique in Addis, we have a design center, we organize a festival,
which is coming up this Friday. Can you please talk about it?
Yes,
We're super excited.
Well, it's not the festival that's coming up. It's the festival we had a few months ago, but actually the event that we're having is it's a special event, because it's we have been organizing this Made in Ethiopia pop-up series that has been taking place for the last month, and we really kind of wanted to create a platform to bring in designers under different themes like sustainability or art and fashion, or emerging designers, established, and so we wanted to kind of bring all that together and do a wrap-up event. So we're doing that on this Friday, the 14th, and it's an all-day event. So we have 10 designers participating in the fashion show. We have about 20 plus designers and accessory designers and homeware, sort of all working under the Made in Ethiopia banner. And this is really to show that there is this creativity, everything's locally made, and there's just this beautiful story behind it, because the designers themselves will be present. And we also obviously wanted to make sure that we did our part as well, to support and to give back and to be able to help rebuild our country as well. We've all been affected, and so we are obviously doing this as a fundraising, and we would like to support sort of women and children who have been affected. So that's another channel. This is something close to home for me. I've been obviously doing a lot of nonprofit work from a very long time, and so we decided to give all the proceeds from the ticket sales to go towards supporting, and we'll be doing it through the ECF Children's Fund, which is the charity that we have, and it will be implemented by the Girls Club. We have a fantastic young girls who run who are members of the Girls Club, and they have been really working very hard during this COVID period, and also just helping the little community around us and supporting young women, young girls. And so we felt that they would be the right people to kind of really help us implement the support that we'll be having. So more on that as we develop it. Obviously, it's not just going to be a one-off event. Yeah. We will be doing a lot more around this. We're going to be building relationships with different communities. And obviously, as you know, our industry is primarily women and young women who are interested. So we really want to be able to show and inspire other young women and young girls to kind of either enter our industry, to pick up craftsmanship, and to find ways of generating revenue, but at the same time feeling very proud. So that's sort of what we're doing. So it's at our Legat-Afo Center. We're based. It's obviously Legat-Afo.
My side of town.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm the opposite.
Great. Yeah. No. That's. I live and work there. I love it. So it's Legat-Afo. It's opposite CCD. So that's where our event will be. It's going to be full day from 10 in the morning until 6, but the fashion show will start about 3:45 sharp.
Okay.
And it'll be outdoor. So so it's going to be an outdoor event. So obviously we want to make sure everybody's protected. So it's going to be outdoor, and obviously it's quite windy and breezy in
I've seen pictures from the last couple ones.
Yeah, so it's really great, and we have all the vendors inside. So so it's indoor, outdoor, and so it's going to be this Friday, and we look forward to having a nice. We've always had successful events because we have a wonderful team who are committed. We have a great community around us. We have people who have always come out to support us. So we look forward to reconnecting with our community, and obviously this is a wonderful cause as well. So it's a win-win for us. So looking forward to that.
That's exciting.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
So how can people come to the events? Can, even if it's kind of last minute, people who hear this and are interested to come and be a part of the event, what do they do?
Well, they can get tickets at the door, or they can get the tickets from our boutique in Shola, African Mosaic, boutique next to the Mineral Building in Yeka Shola. So we've already started ticket sales there, or they just need to come a bit earlier, and they can get tickets at the door. We do have a huge space, so obviously we can accommodate a lot of people, and it's also indoor and outdoor. So
it's COVID friendly as well.
The more the merrier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
So if you guys want to be part of it, that's definitely the way to go. Let's go for one track,
and then we'll be back to, unfortunately, wrap it up. To wrap it up with Anna. Okay, guys, don't go anywhere. Again, if you want to follow us, you can do so on all social media platforms. That's AWAZE MEDIA. So let's get to a musical break, and then we'll come back and say bye.
Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Owaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Owaze, let's spice it up. Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Owaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Owaze, let's spice it up. Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Owaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Owaze, let's spice it up.
All right, welcome back to the Owaze Show here on EBC 104.7. Again, myself, TG, Anna, as well as Yared.
Well, he's just an invisible guest just sitting in the background observing for the most part. Dinan, had it? Yeah. You're good though. Okay, good. Gotta check on you.
Right, but before we wrap up, we basically... I think I also want to get your perspective since you are an entrepreneur and you're killing it. She has her mask on. She's like, hold on, give me a second. Since we have a lot of female listeners as well as those who are involved in business and who are entrepreneurs, we just started, our own business as well, me and TG. So for women as well as for those who are probably owners of fashion design, what kind of advice would you give them in terms of just navigating being an entrepreneur in Addis Ababa and just trying to have a flourishing business here in the city?
Well, I think the obvious would be you have to be really committed, you have to really persevere, you have to be hardworking, but I think it's also really important to understand that fashion is really 90% hard work and 10% glamour. I mean, we are not walking around with high heels and red lipstick at the factory or the design center. It's great if you enjoy it and you're passionate about it. It's an incredible industry, but it's a lot of hard work. It's cutthroat. It is very competitive. But it's a fantastic, this is my world. This is the only world I really know, as far as this is the only career path that I've been on. So it's, you really have to be ready to put in the hours and the commitment, and just being able to, when you start seeing, the fruit of your efforts, and when you start seeing the results, it's rewarding. It's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of commitment, but obviously you have to juggle. I mean, I'm blessed with two wonderful kids who understand everything that I do. Yared spent the day with me running up and down, and and our daughter Aida as well. And so, balancing that, I obviously have a very, very, very supportive husband as well, who has been by my side, and from day one, and understands that this is also my life, and it's as important to me as obviously being the mother and being a good wife, and being able to juggle. And obviously there are times things would suffer here and there, and I think giving back is also so important. I think that's really what's completed my life. When I was working as a model, and I would wear, if I was doing couture or alta moda in Italy, and you would wear $10,000 gowns, for example, and you have to pinch yourself sometimes thinking, $10,000, that is just so much for a piece of fabric that's come together. I mean, obviously there's a lot behind it, but so I've been really blessed, because from those early stages, when I after my visit to the refugee camp, and I really started working in humanitarian world, I realized that, okay, there is this world which is great, but it's just not by accident that I became a model, and that I had a successful career. And I have to be able to give back, and I have to find the right way to do it,
Sure.
And not just wait for aid to come or support to come. So that's why everything I do, I juggle the nonprofit and the not-profit. I juggle, and it's given me such an incredible balance. It's really been fulfilling for me. My life, I've kind of felt, okay, I've enjoyed the wonderful journey, but at the same time, I've made sure that I can, whatever way I can support, whether it's the industry, whether it's designers, whether it's through our school, it's always been parallel. It's always been sort of a parallel journey for me. And at times, maybe I've had more focus on that as well. So, juggling and, pursue your dream, because if you do it every single day, it will come. It's not going to happen overnight. Don't look for an overnight for success.
Everybody learns that the hard way.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It does come together at some point.
Yeah.
You just have to put in the years, and many years. So
I'm glad that you said that, because people think it's like an overnight success. That is not the truth. Yes.
For sure. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate everything we do. We look forward to seeing that everything that comes in the future for Africa Mosaic, for all the designers that you work with as well, and just being closer to the industry and learning more, honestly, because we are always open to learn new things.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for being here, for meeting us, for spending some time with us as well. Even though it's a really hectic time in your schedule,
yes,
we appreciate it so much.
Yes. And any last minute words you have just for people to know about Ethiopian fashion, or anything about the industry that you would love for our listeners to be departed with?
Yeah, words to leave them with.
Start off by saying thank you very much. You guys are doing great work. I really had a wonderful time. And you know what? Our industry is going to grow if we really focus on supporting the young talent. That's the bottom line. They can only grow if there is support. And I think, let's wear made in Ethiopia. Let's support the industry.
Yes.
Let's give it value. And once it grows, then, the international community will be coming here to shop. We will need to go there. So that's how we're going to grow the industry. And ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you so
and
much.
all the best to you guys
coming.
as well, and everything you're doing. And looking forward to seeing some of your followers, your viewers, your listeners.
Definitely make sure to go check
at our
it out.
event.
And we're definitely going to also come to your events as well. I gotta come if it's that
we
close
want
to me.
Absolutely, yes. We look forward to seeing you. Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
We've come to the end of the show, right?
We have to wrap it up. We do have to say our goodbyes. We will see you guys soon. Let's go with
Let's
soon.
say soon.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Friday, I guess.
Please, absolutely.
And we will definitely be back with our next video. 4th video of our series is also coming out as well. So make sure to keep an eye on our social media. It's Awaze Media, AWAZE Media. As usual, stay hydrated, make good decisions. Awaze out. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Owaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Owaze, let's spice it up. Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Owaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Owaze, let's spice it up. Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to your new family. It's the Owaze Show with your hosts Fire and TG every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m.
The best music, entertainment, spicy topics, and so much more.
Owaze, let's spice it up.